welcome back to another video. So I just finished chapter 2 of Atomic Habits. So yeah, I'm just gonna go over all the things that I learned. Basically, there's 3 levels of change to our habits, and our habits are most important rather than our goals. They're more important than our goals because our habits determine where we're gonna be, and our goals are just what we decide where we want to go, right? But it doesn't mean because you have the goal, it doesn't mean you're gonna do it. Your habits are what's gonna get you there. So there's 3 levels of change. There's the outcomes, the processes, and your identity. So a quote from the book, he says, outcomes are about what you get, and processes are about what you do, and identity is about what you believe. And I'm going to relate this back to the book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, because in his meditation, that's basically what we're doing. We're breaking the habit of being ourselves. So we're changing our identity, our beliefs about ourselves, and that's what's going to change our habits to get us to the desired outcome. So anyway, an example of the processes, outcomes, and identity. He says an example here. Imagine 2 people resisting a cigarette when offered a smoke. The first person says, no thanks, I'm trying to quit. The second person declines by saying, no thanks, I'm not a smoker. It's a small difference, but this statement signals a shift in identity. And yeah, so basically our identity is what's gonna change our life. So the way we identify with ourselves, the way we perceive ourselves. And sometimes the way we perceive ourselves may not be correct, meaning like we might be thinking, we may be limiting our own beliefs and perceptions of ourselves. So another thing is basically behind every system of actions are a system of beliefs. So the things that you're doing now on a day-to-day basis are because of a system of beliefs that you have about life and yourself. So it says in a quote, I have a couple quotes here, behavior that is not incongruent with the self will not last. So if your behavior is not congruent with what you think you are, then it's not going to last. And the ultimate form of intrinsic motivation, so the motivation you have to do something, is when a habit becomes part of your identity. And it's another quote, he says, it's one thing to say I'm the type of person who wants this. It's a different type of person it's something different, very different, to say I'm the type of person who is this. So it's either are you something or do you want to be something? If you want to be something, it's always going to be separate from you. And the last quote here from that section, it says, true behavior change is identity change. You might start a habit because you're motivated, but the only reason you'll stick with it is that it becomes part of your identity. And that's what he's talking about in chapter 1, is we are reaffirming who we believe we are by doing the habits that we say we want to do. So if you want to be in fitness, you want to be jacked or ripped, or you want to be healthy, then you need to constantly reaffirm that is who you are. And by saying that's who you are and then taking a small action, then you are now proving to your own soul, your own consciousness, that that is who you are, and that becomes your identity. After some time, you say, yeah, I'm a fitness person, so I'm a healthy person, because you've proved it now to yourself. So, and that's exactly the next section here. Our identity is based on evidence of what we do. And when we prove ourselves who we are, that is who we become, because we're taking small actions each day, which are our habits, that prove who our identity is. But it says here what's most important as well, before we start doing all this, is we need to figure out what type of person that we want to become. So if we think of an outcome that we want, let's say, I'll stick with the gym example. You want to get jacked, you want to get ripped. You got to think, how would this person think? How does this person think every day? What do they feel? What kind of decisions do they make on a day-to-day basis? And a quote from the book, it says, who is the type of person who could write a book? Because in this example, he's saying, like, if you want to be a writer, it says, who is the type of person who could write a book? It's probably someone who is consistent and reliable. Now you focus your shifts from writing the book, right? From writing a book, which is outcome-based, to being the type of person who is consistent and reliable, identity-based. Someone who's a writer is going to write every single day. Someone who makes YouTube videos is going to make YouTube videos every single day. Or however, they're going to take small habits, or at least maybe I'll write some notes that lead me into the next video. But then you have to, so basically the whole point is to reach the identity that you want to be, you have to ask yourself, what would the person who has what I want, what would they do? What would they be thinking? How would they be feeling? So yeah, that's basically the entire summary of chapter 2 of Atomic Habits by James Clear. But now I want to, I'm gonna switch hands. All right, so the sun is in my face, but we're gonna be talking about something else. Anyway, I want to relate this to breaking the habit of being yourself. So I'm gonna go over the different parts of his meditation that he says in Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, right? Which is the whole entire meditation. Basically, Week 1 is we're doing the induction, which is we're focusing our thoughts and mind on our body, because that is where he says our unconscious sits, and our unconscious is where our system of beliefs are, which is related to this book. Our system of beliefs is what we're thinking about ourselves, which makes us then do the actions during the day about what we think about ourselves. So then we're focusing on our mind, on our body, and becoming induced onto the unconscious. Week 2, we start to recognize. You know what? Let me just go over the whole thing real quick. So it's induction, and then recognizing, and then admitting, and then declaring, then surrendering, and then observing and reminding, and then redirecting, and then creating. That's the last week. And rehearsing. Creating and rehearsing. So that is the whole process of his meditation. And what this shows me is like, first, where he has like a whole system for it. Basically, we need to first figure out who we are now. We have to admit who we have been now. We need to decide who we want to be, and then we have to feel what it would like to be that person, and then rehearse it and create it. And that's the whole meditation that Joe Dispenza talks about in Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Yeah, so that's what I've learned so far. Hopefully you got some lessons out of this. If you read this book, let me know, or if you want to read this book, let me know what you think about it down below, or what you think about this whole thing. I have a Discord community if you want to talk with me about it. As of this current video, there's nobody in it except me, so I'd love if you join, and I will see you in the next video when I read some more. I got something else to say. God bless you, and yeah, see you.